single touch payroll reporting with MYOB. So obviously, before you make the connection for single touch payroll, it's a really good time to do a payroll health check, especially if you've been using an account writer essentials file for a while. Have a cleanup of the payroll data. So you're enabled from MYOB. The STP enabled software includes MYOB Account Write, the latest version, and MYOB Essentials, which is our purely online solution. Account Edge, even though it is a desktop software, will have an update coming for it that will enable STP reporting from Account Edge. It's in testing at the moment. Account Write Classic, so version 19 and prior, will not be updated to include single touch payroll, and we have some other solutions for that in Account Write and Essentials. So let's have a look at how we get connected and get set up from within Essentials and Account Write. So from Essentials, this is the full version of Essentials with Payroll. So under the Payroll heading, you would go to Payroll Reporting. And on that screen, it's actually got a video and some links to our help as well for what is STP, really handy for the small business people that you're helping. So step one is to check the payroll details. So that looks like this. We need to check the business details to make sure the ABN is valid, the address is correct. We also need to check the employee information to make sure that all the employees are set up with addresses and TFNs that the ATO will need. And any pay items that you have created in MYOB Essentials, you will need to assign these to the ATO reporting category. Once that is all done, you'll be ready to connect to the ATO. So I'm just going to go through, before I do the connection, setting up MYOB Account Write. So from the Payroll Command Center, you may have noticed the new option there for payroll reporting. When I click on there, it's similar to the Essentials, just a different look. We need to check the payroll details first within the software. So any employee cards, any payroll categories, and the business details again. So from the business details perspective, everything that's orange on the screen has to be populated correctly for the reports to go successfully to the ATO. The same for the employees, making sure they've got TFN numbers, etc. And then going through all of your payroll categories, the defaults plus the ones anything you've created, and just assigning it to an ATO reporting category, even if it is not reportable. That is an option from there. Once the files are ready to connect, you can hit the Connect to the ATO button. And from Essentials, it's Activate STP. So we've done step one, so now we need to do step two. From there, it actually takes you browser-based. So regardless of whether you're Essentials or Account Write, the next slides I'm going to show you is the same for everyone. So from our perspective, it's really important that someone from the business connects to the ATO before you do as a BAS or a tax agent. So these slides are going to show you what they will see. So number one is the overview. They click Start. It comes through and it asks, what is your role? So they'll obviously select someone from the business and follow the green button to continue. They will enter their ABN number and their name and contact details and hit continue. And then this is the information they need to notify the ATO. So basically this is telling the ATO that I am someone from the business, I'm using MYOB Essentials or Account Write to file my single touch payroll, and this is my software ID. So that's what the ATO needs to know to make the connection. Business people have the option of phoning the ATO to make that connection or creating it using their Oz key. Once that is done, they click I've notified the ATO, and this screen will then change to be a list of all of the reports they have created. If you are then you go and connect to the ATO as a Beso Tax Agent. So we hit begin. You can select my screen, my slides are showing it as a BAS agent. You put your ABN number in and you run a check. So what that is checking is that's going through MYOB. It's not connecting to the ATO or anything. It's just going to MYOB and looking through MYOB to see if we've met you and your ABN number before. So if that's online BAS, any other places. So then great, we've met before, so it has pre-filled some of your information. You can overwrite that, obviously. Hit continue. Then you need to give the software the business contact person details. So who is it within the business that the ATO should contact if they have payroll questions? Then from here, you will launch the BAS portal. So assuming your client is already connected through your BAS portal, you're able to go through there and make the connection to say that you're the BAS agent for this business and you're using MYOB to file their single touch payroll. So that's all connected and all activated. So that is a one-off step per MYOB file. From then, when you get to the end of a pay run in MYOB Essentials, you will enter your name and hit send, and that will send the report to the ATO. That shows you there what you have submitted to the ATO in that particular report. And in account right, this is the final record button at the end of the pay run. You enter your name and you hit send. So when you do that, it is sending to the ATO year-to-date figures. So you have to have been using the software for the full financial year. And if you've been doing that, when you can turn on single touch payroll now, and what that means is you don't have to do the payment summaries at the end of this financial year. Obviously, if they're new to software and you haven't been using the software the whole time, you don't have all of those year-to-date figures in the software. ETP, so termination payments, for account right, you would set those up the same as per usual. You'd make your payroll categories and you would, once STP is set up, you will process a pay into the ETP amounts and that's going to be reported correctly through your software. That's for account right. In Essentials, the process is exactly the same and it's all documented within our help. Sam has got these links, or Sam will have these links and will PDF these slides for you afterwards as well. FBT, so Fringe Benefit Tax, this is reported at the end of the year when finalising your employees' figures prior to rolling the payroll year. And the RESC, it goes through with every report that you're filing. So for closing off the payroll year, with Account Right, you will download and install the compliance update, close off the payroll year, load the new tax tables. That's all done automatically for Essentials. And I also grabbed this screenshot for you from Essentials to show that end of year finalisation. So that pulls lots of stuff through there. That was super fast. So one more thing before we go to questions. Sam mentioned the MYOB Partner Program. So what we will give you is a link to that MYOB Partner Program. You register your interest and an account manager will contact you from MYOB and assist you with joining the free partner program. As part of joining that free partner program, you get a full version of MYOB Essentials, which is STP compliant for the life of the file. So that retails for currently $55 a month. I think it's going up to $60 a month. But joining the partner program gets you a whole range of benefits, but the biggest one is a full Essentials file that you can be using for either yourself or for one of your clients that's STP compliant. On or around the 1st of April, we are releasing a new $10 solution for 1 to 4 employees. So companies with 1 to 4 employees, and that will be $10 a month, and it will be the full version of MYOB Essentials Payroll. So it will have payments through the software with ABA files, it will have the pay superannuation, and all of that stuff. I might just open the Q&A and see.
Yeah, sure. So we've got a couple of MYOB specific questions there. Did you want me to read some of them out for you to answer live?
Yeah, I've got them on my screen.
So I think the first one's from accounts for you.
From accounts. We use MYOB account right, and I've done most of the prep. Next step is to call the ATO. I am an employee, not a BAS agent. We intend to commence STP from the first pay event, 1st of April. My understanding is that once we record the pay event, that is the point we send the info to the ATO. No, so at the end of the pay run, you report to the ATO. You're an employee within the business, do you mean? Or an employee of a BAS agent? So that connection has to be done first, obviously.
I think from what
That's it, isn't it?
they're asking, yeah, it's just that as long as you've set it up, the employee can still do the reporting, but you need to have first connected it to the ATO, like now you're showing.
Yeah, got you, yeah. So the BAS agent or someone with that authority has to do that first. I'm a registered BAS agent, but I have 3 other employees who process the payroll each week. Does their name go in as authoriser or mine? When I spoke to MYOB, they said put the name of the person who is processing. Yeah, so that's my understanding as well. So you make the connection once as the BAS agent on behalf of your employees within your bookkeeping business, accounting business, and then they can file for you. As a cloud remote consultant, I can't fully set up a client on their behalf without them doing those steps first. That's correct. The client has to make the connection first with the ATO. Yes, I understand there are lots of overwhelmed clients. I have had that come up quite a lot. So what I would suggest is that you are with your client and you call the ATO and tell the ATO what you're ringing them for, and then hand over to the client to do that. I know it's not ideal, but that is what, to my understanding, that's what the ATO is requiring.
Is that, just out of curiosity, Natalie, is that overriding the Access Manager option where you can authorize yourself across multiple clients, for example? Is this more just the MYOB requirement, or?
It's the ATO. I have that the client has to make the connection in the software first. I've had lots of discussions, and I'm still, I have had this come up quite a bit, and I have heard stories of BAS agents arguing with the ATO, saying, you know, my client doesn't speak English. How do we do this connection? And it is the ATO making that
the rule.
The rule.
Yeah, which is why I think initially they've also advised, look, we know there's a huge strain on some employers, and it'll be specific employers that will find this harder than others. And that's why we're helping you now, to give you time to plan, and we're giving you resources and information to send the clients. So this shouldn't be a last minute thing. This should be something that you can schedule in to get sorted. And we're talking a 5-10 minute phone call. There's a direct line to call the ATO. They give you the prompt numbers, which we've put in the STP kit. And so it shouldn't be a long or arduous process. However, it is a process that you will need to follow.
If we didn't commence, Debbie, if we didn't commence lodging until partway through the year, but we've been processing an MYOB for the full year, will the report show year-to-date figures? Yes, it will, Debbie. In that situation, it will show the year-to-date figures, and you are not required to do payment summaries. Cool. So I've lost something at the top.
Sorry, I'm just looking through as well.
So we've answered the top one from Louise.
Okay.
And we've answered Gabby's one, the second one,
Right.
and Debbie's.
Debbie's has been answered.
Troubleshooting rejected payroll, what to look for. So that is one I will have to, unless you can answer, Sam, I will have to come back to. I know our help has a whole lot of assistance with that,
Yep.
fixing rejected reports and single touch payroll. If you go to our, actually I might just share my screen.
Yep, it's still sharing. That's good.
Oh, it's still sharing. So here I have, from account rights perspective anyway, I'm in here. Can you see that? Introduction to single touch payroll reporting. And then under fixing rejected reports, there's a whole lot of, there's 5 different errors there. And then those will go through and help you troubleshoot the errors.
Yeah.
And I've lost my questions. So for the business to connect in the first instance, do they need an Oz key, or is the account right online enough? They either need an Oz key or you can phone the ATO to make that connection.
Yeah.
You mentioned the final declaration is due 14th of August. Does that mean you do not have to roll over the new payroll year before the first pay in the new financial year?
Does that mean you don't have to roll over the new pay? No, because I think what Christine's asking is that because the final declaration isn't due till the 14th of August, they're asking, do you not need to now roll over the payroll year? I think that's still a MYOB related limitation. So like MYOB will still require the rollover of payroll unless that's been changed recently and I don't know about it. It's the ATO deadline that's the 14th of August for making that final declaration. However, Natalie, do you know anything about MYOB changing the rollover of payroll years?
I don't. I know there is an essentials. There is that report that I showed before where it's the final. These are my final figures.
Yep.
But I'm not sure whether you can still run an employee pay run before you've done that.
I know in MYOB Essentials will be a bit different because it's fully cloud, so you don't have to worry about the rollover. I think Account Right will probably still have that limitation unless that is the later changed by the developers. So you'd still be maintaining your current process. However, the final declaration, it's not due till the 14th of August, but if you're using Account Right and it requires you to roll it over, you probably still want to get that process before the first pay run in July. Just a reminder, can everyone post those questions in the Q&A area so that we can later pick up any missed questions. We don't want to lose any questions in the chat field. Okay, so Anna's asked if you could touch on the end of financial year finalization process in Account Right.
So you can still see my screen?
Yeah.
Essentials account, that's Account Right there. So end of year finalization is, I've never done it, so all I can refer you to is the help. So go to payroll reporting, click the end of financial year finalization tab. If there's any RFBA, select each employer you want to finalize and then click set as final, enter your name and hit send. So that would be separate from rolling a payroll year, but from an STP perspective, that is finalizing the end of year.
And the good thing about that, once again, excuse me, just to clarify, on MyGov, the employees will see all up-to-date payroll information on demand as you've been lodging it. However, until you lodge that final declaration, they will not see it as finalized information. So they'll see a status showing that that data is not yet ready to be lodged in a tax return.
So Jodie Watkins, so if a client has to register with the ATO first, then us as the Beso agent, can it be done on the same computer? Yes, I don't see why it couldn't. And yes, you would each have to have your own logins.
Yeah, as an employee of the business, accounts has come back saying. So yeah, you trying to remember what the
I
initial.
can't remember what the question was.
Sorry. Let me see if I can find it here.
While you're looking for that, Alex, the STP for Account Edge, it is in testing now. The last date I saw is they're hoping for around the 9th of April, but that will be confirmed via email to any Account Edge subscribers. How many files can I run off my free version as an MYOB partner? Under the new partner program, you will get one free MYOB Essentials file. And can you purchase additional files? They will all have different serial numbers, I believe, but when the account manager contacts you when you join the partner program, they will be able to explain that fully. You can, under the old CAP membership, the one you pay monthly for, that disappears and you can cancel that and go on to the free partner program. If you don't, but as part of that, if you've got a CAP serial number with multiple free files under that are desktop, then you can't cancel the cap. You need to keep both memberships going. But if they're desktop files, they're not going to be compliant for single touch payroll. And version 19, we are ending support for at the end of September. So that will be that. If you start reporting from now, this is Joanne Forbister, but have employees who have left this financial year, do you still need to provide PAYG payment summary, or is there a way for you to report STP for them? Yes, if you have finalised someone prior to turning on STP, just process a $0 pay run for them, and that will include them in STP and report for them.
Awesome.
And Tammy has asked, how do we know what ATO categories to assign payroll items to? There is some help on the ATO website. I'm not an accountant or a bookkeeper currently, so I cannot advise, but I'm pretty sure, Sam, you would have some help links for that as well?
Yeah, well, the main thing to realize is, as far as I can see from your question, you're not changing the way you're processing the payroll. So if you've already been assigning it payment summary categories, they're not going to change. It's just that you're now reporting it directly through the software. So you're having a digital version of a payment summary produced. And so if you've been reporting something as W1, it's still W1, that's not changing. It's just a matter of having everything running through the payroll so that it can be reported through single touch payroll. There's already a lot of information on the ATO about ATO categories for payment summaries. So that won't change. That information will still be valid for you, Tammy.
Diane says, my understanding is that if you're not a BAS agent or an employee of the business, you cannot lodge STP. Please confirm this is the case. That would agree with everything that I understand. Sam?
Yeah, you need, well, the crux of it is you need to be authorized if you're an external party. So at the end of the day, like BAS agents and tax agents are generally the ones that are processing compliance for their employers that are their clients. So you need to be authorized as a BAS agent currently to lodge activity statements, same way that you still need to be authorized to lodge STP. And so the STP kit has some information on this to clarify, but as a BAS agent, you need to either have them added to your portal or have been added as a STP authority level from the ATO. Hopefully that answers your question, Diane.
I was just copying and pasting an answer for someone else as well. Where am I? Oh, we've done that one. Yeah, so can I dismiss that one? I have a client with 2 MYB files for the same ABN, 2 divisions. Am I going to be able to set up both files reporting separately to the ATO each week after each separate pay run using the same ABN? That's a not simple procedure. I will need to come back to you, but I have heard it explained that Some people get around that by putting all of the payroll through one of the files, but that's not always going to be the correct answer. I'll have to get back to you on that one, on what our official recommendation is with that. So we've done that one there. Linda, as an internal bookkeeper, does the owner of the business contact the ATO and register? Is that all we need to do? An internal bookkeeper? Right, I see what you mean. So you're filing as someone from within the business, then yes. If there's no external bookkeeper or accountant involved in the process whatsoever, then you make that connection to the ATO and you run your pay as per usual and report the STP.
Yeah, perfect.
If you want to set up STP now and the year-to-date figures are sent to the ATO, what happens to non-current employees? We've done that one, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it matter if I hit dismissed, or do I need to do an answer? Or
I think just say answer live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And does that just go away? Okay, cool. Sorry. I have a client who has started STP in August, as missed July with setup. 2 employees had final pays in July, so no year-to-date reported. Right, so again, 0 pay run, and that will report the STP for them. Otherwise, you always have the option of doing the payment summary. That's not being removed from the software.
Correct. Yeah, you can still lodge manual payment summaries for really tricky ones or where you're not really ready yet. However, STP is still a requirement, whether you're lodging manual payment summaries or not, and it is important that you are informing your employers of this. I would advise wherever possible to be using the digital option, because I mean, from a BAS agent perspective, how much easier is it to lodge something through the software rather than sending out manual summaries.
Partnership. End of year profit allocation to working partner and non-working partner report as STP. This is usually calculated well after June. You will notice that the ATO has made an exemption for, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, is it closely held employee?
For a couple of years, I believe, even.
Yeah.
So, because realistically, as most of us have that work with payroll clients, you have closely held employees, and they're always treated a bit differently because they're really, it's more for tax purposes that they're being set up through the business. And so the ATO, this is really rolling out to ensure that there's more vision for the ATO on super and tax liabilities. And so if you're a closely held employee, it's not the focus of STP. So there will be some lenience for the first few years on that.
Cool. Beatrix Lombardi, will I need to use my AusKey on my client's computer to report? No. Once the connection is made, I believe you're actually filing using MYOB's AusKey. Once that connection is made, you just need to use that to make the connection.
Yes.
When you first go through, and yes, you'll be able to print the PAYG the payment statements, sorry. So payment summaries.
We might just do one more question if you want.
Okay, this one's a big one. Surfboard 3. Love the name. What happens if you process the pay but then realise later that the amount you paid was different? Can you reprocess the pay run? Sorry, I did not cover that. Yes, you will fix the pay run how you always have done, whether that's deleting it in Essentials or processing a reversal or an adjustment. Fix it exactly the same as you always have done, and at the end of the fixing, you will be reporting to the ATO again, so it will be updating the year-to-date figures, thus fixing your mistake, if I'm allowed to call it a mistake.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, the ATO obviously realised that payroll is not always perfect and changes do happen, so you will be able to lodge an update. Obviously, best practice is try and get everything accurate and set up properly, so moving forward, this will be really helping us get clients more compliant, and we will have to probably struggle a bit with clients that are difficult in this situation. However, we've got to do our best to prepare our clients for the change, and that's why we've got all the resources available. So just like to thank everyone for attending today. A reminder that this is recorded and you will be able to access the recording. Everyone who has registered for today's event will be sending that out along with the offer from MYOB, and we'll also be answering all the questions we can in an FAQ that we'll send out. and we'll make sure we cover any of the curly questions or general questions that we've looked at today, because we've got a lot of repetition, obviously. So keep an eye out for the Q&A we'll be publishing. Also a reminder, we will be running an STP with QBO and STP with Xero event in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for those to register. And yeah, lastly, just thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Natalie, for joining us from MYOB.
Cool. Thank you for having me.